on, guys? What's going on, everyone? I'm going to be doing part 2 of what was in Naruto, probably the final, but whatever. That was a tongue twister. Actually, it wasn't. It just took for me to ever say that, because I just want to get through this intro fast, so this video can be another hour long. Let's get started. We left off last time with... Oh my god, I need to stop talking so fast. I've been listening to so many people talk so fast, so I'm like, yeah, I gotta talk fast. Whatever, let's get... I gotta stop talking so fast. I talk way too... So let's get started. We left off last time with Kushina, Minato, Fugaku, Mikoto, and Shisui being reanimated. And Christian's still on the hunt for the Rinnegan to revive them. So when Christian rushes out, he says, if I kill Nagato, I can steal his Rinnegan and put this jutsu into effect. But then he gets an alert from his Leaf communicator saying that the Akatsuki are already attacking. He says, this early? They should have been here. They should have been here like a year later. They already planned their outing? He says, oh my. And Lady Tsunade says, Madara, Uchiha, he has the Rinnegan. Cause he's like, damn it, we're screwed. Well, looks like we're done. We have to go now. Minato, what is your strongest attack? Can you go into KCM? He says, I think I can. He says, Naruto, try and befriend Kurama. Christian goes into his psyche and says, Kurama, do you trust Naruto? No, I don't. He says, why wouldn't you trust him? Naruto is a pure-hearted shinobi. If you would, and also, would you rather, I'd also like to ask you another question. Nine tails! He says, what do you want, brat? Would you rather have your host as that Madara Uchiha, or Naruto, who's not that annoying, or who doesn't use you? Naruto is only mean to you because you're the one who caused him all this hate. So, if you just get along with Naruto, then you guys could be perfect friends, and you could start finally trusting humans. He says, I'll think about it on the way. He says, okay, Kurama, you think about this. He says, how do you know my name? He says, I won't tell. He says, Minato, what can you do? Minato goes into KCM 2. He says, damn, you're one step ahead of Naruto. He says, no fair. He says, let's just go quickly. The Leaf is already being attacked. He teleports to Itachi and Sasuke and tells them to let's go. He says, Naruto, looks like Sasuke's finally surpassed you. He says, no fair. He says, ha ha ha. He says, how was he surpassed? How was I surpassed him? KCM, oh yeah, just saying, the reason why Sasuke surpassed him is, KCM 1 is weaker than Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Christian goes, but I'm still on top. Yeah! La, la, la. He says, yeah! So let's get started. He says, let's go! Christian they'd all rush back to Leaf Village, but something horrible would happen. The 5 Kage would be reanimated. Well, the 4 Kage, and they'd rush to Leaf as well, ready to destroy it. He says, shoot, we're screwed. So, it looks like we're here alone. But then, they sent a huge, and I mean humongous chakra coming. And Christian's like, no, it cannot. No! Not him, please, God, no, please, not him, no, not him, we're screwed if that's him. Who? Then they all feel the energy, they're like, no, we're doomed. Christian communicates with all 5 villages, all 4 other villages. He says, quickly, get over here! We're getting rushed by the Akatsuki, the 4 Kage from each other village, and the both of Madara Uchihas. He says, both? He says, get over here, quickly! All the village's forces rushed to the Leaf Village, and there's war going on. With a load of white Zetsu, Christian says, hey, Madara, me and you, right now! He says, oh, a fellow Uchiha. He says, Sharingan! dun, 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 and they're clashing fists. Blocking says, "Hey, would you like a real challenge?" He says, "Who will you bring me?" He says, "Reanimation jutsu." He says, "Hashiyama." He says, "Here you go, Madara." He says, there's two of them. He says, "Who could that be?" He says, "This is Hashirama." He opens the gates. He opens up the little door thingies, and Hashirama and Tobirama run out. He says, "Lord first, Lord second, Madara Uchiha, and all the evil villains of this time have come. Hashirama, get him." He says, Tobirama laughs and says, "He's treating you like a pet." Says, "Now, Tobirama, I need you to help get rid of the Zetsu. We need your help to get rid of the Zetsu. Use your water style severing wave to get rid of them." He says, "How do you know that jutsu?" He says, "Whatever, just get started with it. We have to plan roles." He says, Christian's running out of chakra from all this reanimation summoning he's doing. Christian says, "There's only one more, I can only launch one more jutsu." He bites his finger and does, "Come on, please work. Please work. Summoning jutsu." He summons the one thing he can think of. He only knows this one. He made a summoning contract with this thing that he should have never done. He says, "Summoning jutsu, Ghetto statue." They say, "What?" It says, "Ghetto statue." He summons the Ghetto statue and orders him to destroy all of them. Destroy all the people in black robes and all people that it senses evil in. And the Ghetto statue is wrecking all of them. He says, Madara Uchiha, but then takes control of the Ghetto statue and turns it on the leaf. And he's like, "Dang it! We really need that Nine-Tails to start cooperating." Kristen says, "If only I had a tail beast I could help. But I'm too weak. Dang it." But then the Ghetto statue appears right above Christian and stomps on him, killing him. They're all like, "No!" Kurama says, "That's it, Naruto. We're bonding our chakra together. Let's go! I'm taking down Madara Uchiha. Once I see a fallen person that was actually a good person, I will not stand for this. Naruto!" So then Naruto would go into KCM2 in a blind rage, plus Sage mode. He goes, destroying the Ghetto statue. Christian appears into a random psyche. A weird psyche. But then he meets the Sage of Six Paths, Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Then, out of nowhere, Sasuke gets stabbed in the stomach by Madara, being defeated, killing him. Then, when Naruto in his blind rage about to punch Madara in the face, Madara blocks it and extracts his tail beast, saying, Kakashi would break, and in the midst of fighting, Kakashi would break Obito's mask. He says, "Obito, I knew it was you since those two came back. They told us." He says, "Oh, so I guess we have some traitors." He says, "Looks like it's over." Kakashi and Obito would duke it out. They'd be like, "Yo, bro, you want to duke it out?" They duke it out. They're going, "Pow, pow, pow, pow." While Kakashi and Obito are duking it out, having fun with the fights, Naruto's tail beast would be extracted, and Madara would become the 10 Tails Jinchuriki earlier than he usually would. Christian would say, "No, no, 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 no! We're screwed, we're screwed, we're screwed, we're screwed." In his head, he says that they're screwed, there's no way we're beating that. And Hagoromo says, "Don't worry, sonny boy. You are now with me. I will give you you're the reincarnation of me." Christian says, "God, I guess I'm really special and I'm technically the reincarnation of the Sage of Six Paths. That's awesome." He says, "I will grant you your powers." He says, "What are my powers?" The Rinnegan in one of your eyes, in the Six Path Sage mode." Christian says, "What color?" He says, "It's a black Six Path Sage mode. Your vest is black. And you get true seeking orbs." Christian says, "Why would I get this?" He says, "Because You have done really well. You're pure-hearted. You helped. You saved your own village, and you will unlock the perfect Susanoo, the size of mine. Christian says, I'm going back! He would revive him, and also he says, you probably know who the reincarnations of Indra and Asura are. He says, Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto is Asura, and Sasuke is Indra. He says, geez, I didn't actually expect you to do that. He says, I say yes, because that makes sense. Christian would say, I'm going now. Christian would, all three of them would appear in one corner, breaking the ground below them, saying, Christian would say, well, actually, Naruto and Sasuke would do it. There you go. They'd be fighting Six Paths Madara and Obito, because Obito would finally defeat Kakashi, because, well, it's Rinnegan Obito, plus, he has the Mangekyo, so I'm pretty sure Obito would get defeated. Still don't know how he lost. Basically, after Obito would finally defeat Kakashi, he'd join in. When he's about to cut Sasuke in the face, someone would appear right in front of him saying, no you don't! He goes, when Sasuke's about to get hit, Christian would say, wind style, wind barrier! Blocking Obito, strike. Saying, there's no way you're ever defeating me. He says, magnet style Rasengan. He says, I'm summoning the full power of the 10 tails. Madara would be using the full power of the 10 tails, summoning the 10 tails, and Krishna would say, you think you're slick, Madara? Just because you have control of the 10 tails. Well, guess what? I've got a gift for ya. I have the perfect gift for you, Madara. Perfect Susanoo! With a katana and an arrow. Krishna would say, Indra's arrow! He would say, Hagoromo arrow! Going, sniping the 10 tails, saying, let's go! He says, Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Itachi, Shisui, you guys ready? They all go, the Uchihas go and to go to their perfect Susanoo forms. He'd go, Naruto would go into his Asura-powered Kurama, so would Minato. Then, Sakura, I'm gonna give Sakura a brand new form. It's gonna be called 100 Healings Giant. So Sakura's gonna get a giant chakra giant. It's gonna be like a giant person, but it's a chakra giant. It's gonna be a giant monster in the form of in the shape of chakra. That is what it's going to be. And it's gonna be as big as, it's not gonna be as big as Naruto's. And out of all of them, the tallest and the biggest is Christian's, because remember, he's the reincarnation of the sage of Six Paths. His Susanoo is as big as the Six Paths. Plus, with his power, it's probably going to be bigger. He says, I can't believe it's so good. He says, here goes nothing. He says, kid. And he just absolutely, Christian would say, let's go! But all rush, pulling up their giant attacks. Naruto would say, Six Paths, Rasen Shuriken! Sasuke would say, Indra's arrow! Itachi would say, Yansuke beads! Itachi would say, Uchiha style, follow dance! And they all, and Christian's like, I don't have a secret. Christian says, don't leave me out, you guys, I'm coming in! With a thunderclap! Be gone! Absolutely hitting the 10 tails with full power, doing so much damage to the 10 tails. Then saying, here's a move that I have to say for you. Here's a jutsu from Ashura Otsutsuki. He charges it up. Amethyst orb! Yeeting it at him. Hitting him with such precision and force. Hitting him with such precision and force that it murders him. That it kills the Ten Tails. He says, "Now everyone!" They'd say, "Ah!" Launching their attacks. Sakura with the biggest punch of her life, crushing the Ten Tails' skull. Then Naruto and Sasuke would launch their attacks, and Shisui and Itachi would launch theirs. Christian's final attack. Amethyst! Everyone, put your power in! They'd all put their powers in, and they'd all put their hands together, saying, "Amethyst orb!" Yeeting the amethyst orb at the Ten Tails, killing the Ten Tails. They all say, "Looks like it's time. All we have to do is take down Madara and Obito and the rest of them." He says, "Let's go!" Itachi and Shisui have unlocked a brand new form called Susanoo Chakra Mode. Or it's KCM, but it's their color. Itachi's is red, Shisui's is green, and Christian is just in his 6-path Sage mode. He goes, they're running at him with full power, going with strong and with spin blade music, whatever it's called, and they're fighting so hard. And and on the final one, that Christian says, "Here's my final attack. Everyone, put your attacks in." With everyone's full power, they put it in. Christian says, "Chidori." Using his full power, says, "Amethyst orb." Then Sasuke says, "Chidori." Itachi says, "Amaterasu." Shisui would say, "Here goes nothing. Fire style, fireball jutsu." Putting the fire in it, because the amethyst absorbs the attacks and adds it to it. Sakura would say, "Cha," putting her chakra into it to enhance it. Then Naruto would put in his Rasengan Shuriken power, and Christian would say, "This is the power of Shinobi!" Holding up the amethyst orb, saying, "Ah!" All of them putting their hands on it, jumping up in the air, going, "Da-na-na-na-na. Let's finish this! Amethyst orb!" Ramming it into him, killing, destroying, and incinerating all of them. Incinerating all of them. Killing everyone. Killing all of the remaining Zetsu, Madara, he decides to leave Obito alive. And thus, killing and destroying Kabuto, which means everything is at peace. But Minato and Kushina, Shisui, Fugaku, and Mikito start to disappear. They're about to say Itachi is about to say goodbye to it. Itachi is about to say goodbye. Itachi says, "Aren't you going to say goodbye?" He says, "No, I have one more gift for all of you." He goes, and even the Sage of 6 Paths says, "You're ready, right?" He says, "Yes, I'm ready, Hagoromo Otsutsuki." He goes, Renee, rebirth! Crushing it all. Bringing back Minato back to life, Kushina back to life, everyone who died in the war that was good back to life. And he even says this, "And Obito, this is for you." He says, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." He says, "Do it." The Shadow Clone says, "Reanimation." And it reanimates Rin Nohara. In her older age. And then he says, "Renee, rebirth." Wait, and then Itachi says, "No, you're gonna die." He says, "I'm fine." Right? He says, "I made a deal with the Sage of 6 Paths. He said, what did you promise? He said if I become the Sage of Six Paths, he will let me do the Rinne Rebirth so I won't die. He says, really? He says, yes. So I'm becoming the new Sage of Six Paths. Bringing back Rin and Obito, bringing him back fully. When he says, 1 year later, the Leaf Village is completely constructed, everything is normal. Obito cannot thank Christian enough for bringing back his one true love. And 1 year later, a wedding happens. It ain't Naruto and Hinata, it's not Naruto and Hinata's. It ain't Sasuke's and Sakura's. It ain't Itachi and Izumi's. It's Obito's and Rin's. Yeah, I just felt like I wanted to do that for fun. You gotta give Obito some justice. Chris would say, here's a gift for... So, that's basically what he gives. So, on Rin's wedding day, on Rin and Obito's wedding day, everyone gives them a gift. Christian actually asks Obito what he likes the most, because he doesn't really know, since, yeah, Obito would say that him and Rin would love blah 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 blah. And he'd say, okay. He says... And what he actually told him was he wanted him a gift is to help Rin control the 3 tails, even to help Rin be strong enough. Or actually no. Obito's wish was that he would protect Rin at all times. He says, because Obito wants to be Hokage still. He says, okay, that's a deal, buddy. So, 2 years later, Obito Uchiha becomes Hokage. He says, nice, Obito, you're Hokage, you've done it. He says, you've got your lifelong dream, huh? He says, thank you, Christian, for sparing my life. He says, don't thank me. He says, well, I have to go now. At the end of the Leaf Village, at the village gate, they all say goodbye to him, and he says, bye guys, I promise I'll come visit sometimes. They're all like, bye. Christian flies up in the air and dips and says, well, I'll be watching you all. He goes to a secret location where the Sage of Six Paths is, and he goes there. He says, would you like both Rinnegan? He says, no, sir. I think I want my Sharingan to represent that I'm an Uchiha. He says, okay, this is a magical ball that can watch the world. He says, I need you to watch it. I've been doing this and watching over people. He says, okay. He says, can I leave every year or so? He says, you can leave and go for like a couple of months, but you have to leave a shadow clone. He says, okay. He says, I'm kidding, that's not what the Sage of Six Paths' job is, he just watches. Teaching everyone about Christian is now the most powerful shinobi. Now, 3 years later, Naruhina wedding. That goes normal. Naruto does not know, Christian does not know what the wedding would be. Christian's like, yeah, problemo in his house. I don't know what to do. He says, 2 weddings in a year? I don't even know what to get her. I don't even know what Naruto likes. Then he's like, ooh, I know what I can get both of them. On the wedding day, Christian says, Naruto, there's something good I want to get you guys. He passes Naruto 35, about 30 free ramen bowls at Ichiraku. 30 giant-sized ramen bowls. He said, I had to use some I had to ask Teiuchi if I had to spend most of my money on those. He says, you shouldn't have. He says, well, I know how much you like ramen. And also, you can have free ramen for 35 years. He goes, they're like, everyone's like, 35 years? And he says, but the max amount of people who can do it is about 4 people. I'm kidding, it's 5. The max amount is 5 people. And you're only allowed to go once a day to get enough ramen, because I don't want Teiuchi to run out of ramen. And also and he says, I had to promise Teiuchi to go get his ingredients every single day, because he knows that tons of people are going to want ramen. So now my schedules are full. Even though I did make and also I promised Obito that I'd watch over Rin while he's Hokage, because he still doesn't trust people. So now, 5 months later, Sakura wedding. So this would go perfectly normal, except Christian knows nothing about what Sasuke wants. Christian doesn't even know what Sasuke likes. Sasuke tells Christian that he doesn't want a wedding gift since he's already given him enough gifts. The gift, Minato and Kushina would be at Naruto's wedding, and Shisui would be at his wedding as well, and also they'd be at Sasuke and Sakura's wedding. So, moving on to the next one. That one's not really that irrelevant, because Sasuke wouldn't want a gift from Christian, because he's already given him back his parents and his brother's best friend. He says, that's good enough. He says, Sasuke, would you like me to rebirth the Leaf Village to make it good again? Maybe your entire clan back? He says, no. The Uchiha clan needed that. They were gonna wage war. He says, okay. If you ever need something, I'm here to help. That's my job, to stop all ruckus in the world, to bring peace. I have to stop something, though. He says, alright. 5 years later, Boruto Uzumaki is born. He says, ooh, he's nice. He's a nice child. He says, hey Naruto, when Boruto hits about 4, can I train him? And maybe teach him stuff while you're doing stuff? He says, sure. He says, yes, I want to be the favorite. He says, Naruto says, what? He says, nothing. So, now, 5 years later. I'm kidding, it's about 2 years later. 2 years later, Himawari is born. He goes, oh yeah, and also Sarada was born during Boruto's time. He says, good. Well, that's pretty cool. He says, okay, you too. So once he says, alright. So once Boruto hits 4 and Sarada hits 4 and Himawari hits the age of 2, he says, maybe I'll take those 2 on a journey, but Himawari, once she hits 4 and they get to the age of 8, I'll take Himawari on some fun adventures. He says, guys, get on. They say, okay. He says, Susanoo! They are frightened. They're like, ah! He says, don't worry, guys, get it. He picks them up and puts them in the Susanoo head. He says, welcome to the Susanoo head. Welcome to Susanoo. This is fun. I'll take you guys all around the world. He says, all around the world? How long is that going to take? Around 5 hours. So he takes them around the world, flying around, going, taking breaks in and out to go get some ramen in each places. They even go visit the 5 Kage. So Christian says, I forgot something to do. Guys, you guys stay here. Want to see some magic? Boruto and Sarada go, yeah! He goes to the hidden cloud village and says, Lord Raikage, I have a gift for everyone in the world inside the Sage of Six Paths, and I've known that you've been kind of depressed lately. He says, I can't get over that B died. He says, well, he says, reanimation, bringing back B from the dead. He says, B, and they hug, and then he says, wait, not yet. Rene Rebirth. There you go. And he's back to life. So B has been revived, and he says, does B have, and B won't have to have the burden of the 8 tails, or were they friends? He says, they were friends. He says, well, I'm gonna go raid the Akatsuki base and go take back the 8 tails and all the tail beasts. Christian would raid the base and steal all the tail beasts back and bring, he'd say, sealing the full 8 tails in him, grabbing the full 2 tails, grabbing the full 6, 7 tails. He says, maybe I should give those Jinchuriki a better life. He says, reanimation. He brings back all 7 Jinchuriki, well, 6 Jinchuriki. He says, bringing back Yugito, Yagura, Roshi, Han, Saiken, well, now it's Utataka, and Fu. And he seals their tail beast back in them, saying, Rene Rebirth! And he brings them all back. You guys can go live a happy life now. I'm gonna go visit. Alright, you guys, we have to go back. I think your parents are gonna be pretty mad with me for taking you away for a while. So, when Naruto sees the giant Susanoo in the sky, he says, that's him. Christian would drop out the Susanoo holding Sarada and Boruto in his arms, landing on the ground. Saying, hey Naruto, he says, where have you gone? He says, around the world. He says, you took them around the world? He says, yeah. He says, I'll take Himawari when she's old enough. She's 2 right now. I want to wait till she's 4 so then I can take her around the world. He says, thanks. He says, I'll be staying in the Leaf. Just give me Lord Third's crystal ball. He says, well, I'll just vision around. 10 years later. Okay, not 10 years. So 5 years later. Boruto, Uzumaki, 9 years old. Himawari, who's already been taken around the world. Himawari, Uzumaki. Hold on. She's 2 then, so that's 5 years later, so. Himawari, 7 years old. Sarada Uchiha, 7 years old. 9 years old. He says, well, I guess it's time to start training you guys. He says, there's an advanced jutsu that I will never teach you guys, though. He says, what is it? He says, amethyst orb. Yeeting it up to the sky with a big explosion of blue. They all say, whoa. He says, I'll start teaching you guys basic ninjutsu. And Sarada, I'll teach you about the Sharingan. He says, I don't really want to do this to you since you're way too young, so I'm not. He says, your Sharingan is based off of excitedness, sadness, anger, and rage. But I don't want to give you any anger or rage, because you're a kid right now. When you hit the age of 12, I will teach you how to get your Sharingan. So, Boruto, Himawari, Sarada, observe. Wind style, air bullet! Breaking down millions of hundreds of trees. They all go, whoa, and he says, you guys try. They go, wind style, air bullet. Boruto does a tiny air bullet that chips a tree. Sarada does a fireball, going, and Himawari does a water bullet. He goes, which actually breaks through a tree. Sarada burns a tree, and Boruto cuts a tree. And Himawari's wet the tree. He says, holy crap, you all have different ones, and I taught you the hand signs. He says, here you go, guys. He all gives them leaves. But when Boruto does it, it crumbles on one side, it crinkles up. The other side, it gets wet. And the other side, it cuts. He says, alright, you have 3 elements. Wind, water, and lightning. Sarada, your turn. Sarada's, one of hers burns, the other one crumbles, and that's all. He says, alright, you have fire and lightning, same as me, except I have wind style. He says, alright, you, Himawari. Himawari goes, Himawari would rocks start to go on it. I don't know how the earth one goes. Water and lightning and wind. Christian's like, holy, she has 4 elements. I don't even think that's possible. I was only born with 3. He says, dang. So he teaches all them good jutsu. He teaches Boruto the Wind Gale Palm. Teaches Himawari the Lightning Style Lightning Stream and the Earth Style Mud Wall. He teaches Boruto also the Air Bullet for it to actually work. He teaches Sarada the Fireball Jutsu and the Uchiha style Hollow Dance, but she hasn't mastered it. She just uses it with a kunai to cut people. She just calls it Fire Style Kunai. Kunai Rush. He says, well, you can call it what you want, Sarada, because it's whatever. Christian would never, and he says, well, this is good. Christian would say, where's Sasuke? I have some good news. He says, Sasuke's left. He says, well, I'm gonna go teleport to him. He grabs Sasuke, he touches Sasuke's shoulder and teleports him back to the Leaf with Naruto, Sarada, and with Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, Hinata. He says, I'd like to show you all something cool. He says, show him your thing. Show him your thing. Show it to him. Boruto says, Wind Style, Air Bullet. And he also says, Water Style, Water Wall. Sarada says, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. She also says, Lightning Style, Lightning Fist. Himawari says, Earth Style, Mud Wall. Lightning Style, Lightning Stream. Water Style, Water Stream. The parents are like, where did you guys learn? I gave them an elemental test. And he says, geez, he says, these kids are prodigies. He says, oh yeah, Ino and Sai would hook up. I haven't actually mentioned them at all. I've just been mentioning Team 7. I have not mentioned any other team besides Neji, and I have not mentioned them. Kirsten would say, So after all them gathering together, after a ramen gathering, Kirsten says, hey guys, want to do something fun? Who wants to do some fun training? They say, fine. They say, sure. He says, alright, so let's teach the kids a couple of jutsus. Let's see what Shikadai can do. Let's see what Shikamaru's kid can do first. Shikadai, you're up first. He says, Shadow Possession. Trapping Christian, touching Christian's foot, and he says, just breaks through immediately saying, that's good. That's actually very good. You can now learn the Shadow Possession? Shikamaru, you must have been teaching him. And he also says, Wind Style, Wind Scythe. Hitting, Christian gets chipped a little bit, and he says, cool, you've learned good. He says, alright, now that's good. But, let's see how you do against, this. He says, you're pretty good. But, let's see how you can do against me. He says, that's pretty good, y'all. So, Inojin would use the Super Beast scroll of little doggies trying to bite Christian, but then he just crushes them, saying, he said, Inojin gets a little sad. He's like, you kill my puppies. He says, don't worry, you can rebuild them. He says, okay, so, let's see the rest of yours. The next one would be Cho-Cho. Cho-Cho just does the super expansion jutsu with her arm to break, trying to punch it. He just touches it with his finger and breaks it and stops it, saying, okay. Any others? I don't know any of the other ones. That's actually it. That's actually it. But then another kid would arrive. He says, wait a minute, hold on. Itachi? He says, what is up, Itachi? I haven't seen you in a while. He says, hey. He goes, nice seeing you. He says, this is my son, Itachi. I don't even know what to call him. I'm just going to call him Kazumi. He's going to be called Kazumi. Even though Kazumi Uchiha. He says, alright, this is the last one I'm actually doing. Christian would say, woohoo! So, I guess it's time. So, I guess we could do this. So, basically, he would teach all of them so many jutsu. Even the adults taking some jutsus from him, and he says, this is awesome. Even adults are taking my advice. This is the first. He says, well, this is the absolute best. So everyone getting some training out of him, he says, woohoo! He goes, no one's gonna beat us. After teaching them jutsu, that's gonna be